One war is going on in West Asia between Israel and Hamas. The other is taking place in Europe. For decades, the EU adopted an open border policy. As a result, millions and millions of Muslims from Arab and African countries claimed refugee status in Europe. In the previous decade, almost 4 million Muslims moved to Europe according to the Pew Research Center. And along with them came their anti-Jewish cultural baggage. For EU, the Israel-Hamas war is a wake-up call. It is realizing how it has been shielding and feeding extremists and terrorists masquerading as refugees. These criminals have no respect for the law of the land and often exhibit their violent nature. For instance, as soon as the war broke out between Hamas and Israel, France responded by banning all pro-Hamas activities. Well, commendable step, but soon turned out a mere ban was not enough. On your screen are these criminals who broke French laws to stage pro-Hamas rallies and support terrorism. Not just that, in the past 10 days, at least 100 attacks have taken place against Jews in France only. In one instance, a guy even stabbed a teacher to death, a killing authorities said was linked to Gaza. Well, it is clear that due to a massive influx of Muslim refugees, EU has become a hellhole for Jews. French Jews, who made up less than 1% of the population, suffered 55% of the recorded racist attacks in 2019. The story is much the same in the UK. In Germany, the condition is even worse. According to studies, a quarter of Germans harbor anti-Semitic attitudes. The question is EU prepared to deal with this crisis? Hell no! In fact, the EU is heavily divided. As this article points out, it cannot overcome its own rifts. Here is an example. After the war broke out, the European Commissioner for Neighbourhood and Enlargement, Oliver Varhelyi, announced an immediate suspension of aid, apparently without consulting his colleagues or member states. The very next day, the EU's Foreign Policy High Representative Joseph Borrell declared that Israel's cutting off of water, electricity and fuel to the Gaza Strip may violate international humanitarian law. Two leaders, two different statements, one pro-Israel, one pro-Hamas. Then EU's chief Ursula von der Leyen flew to Israel and said this to cover up the embarrassment.
Nothing can justify what Hamas did. This is the time to stand in solidarity with Israel and its people. And this is why I am here. Let me also be very clear that Hamas alone is responsible for what is happening.
See, things can no longer be managed at the EU level with these nincompoops leading the charge, and actions need to be taken on the country level itself. For example, Germany has said it will use all legal options to expel Hamas supporters. The same should be done by all European nations. I would say the Israel-Hamas war is an opportunity for the EU to cleanse itself, to rid itself of these extremists and terrorists. And for God's sake, please do away with your open border policy. Do whatever it takes to militarize your borders, to patrol your maritime boundaries. But at any cost, the invasion must stop. Thanks for watching. You're watching Outright. You can subscribe to our channel for more such insightful videos.